have a Welsh friend who says there's a kind of phrase in Welsh, whose seat is that chair? And it's the interesting way in which sometimes people use two different words that mean a similar thing. And I've just got behind me a whole series of church chairs in this crypt. What kind of seating arrangement are you working with at the moment? It's interesting. The Bible talks in Revelation about the one who's seated on the throne. It talks about the way in which God is seated on a throne in heaven, and the Lamb who's on the throne, the one who's in charge, the one who's got that place of authority. I was watching a documentary thing last night, and it was about a seat made of basalt rock, and it was in a very ancient synagogue in Israel. Amazing how the carvings had survived through all the centuries, and it was a place of authority. And the couple who do these videos, called Sergio and Rhoda, they're really good videos, and she sat on this chair, and which is a kind of stone seat, and it was amazing, really. Centuries later, whoever that was supposed to be meant for wouldn't have imagined, that somebody in the 21st century was sitting there on that seat. Sometimes we see these seats in old churches or museums or places, and you feel like you're not quite supposed to sit there. It's an artifact. It's something that's valuable and precious, and you don't really have the right to sit there. Jesus talked about banquets where people took the seat of honor very quickly, and actually they might get humiliated if somebody else more important turned up at the celebration and they had to take a lower seat. We can get very focused, particularly I find, at my stage in life, people get quite focused about what sort of seats of honor they might be having in the community or in society or in their profession. And there's a very important one, and that's the throne in heaven, and that's the seat where Jesus has sat. And Jesus has sat down at God's right hand. He's reigning now from David's throne, it says in that song that we used to sing back in the day. So what seat is your chair? What chair is your seat? Where are you seated? Are you seated with Christ in the heavenly realms? Are you seated in a place of security? Not sort of over comfortable in the wrong sense, but definitely sat with Christ in a place of position of authority, and yet standing with humility. If I'm mixing my metaphors, I'm sorry there, but it's very clear that Jesus has sat down because he has authority to be seated in that place on the throne, and with him we can be sat with Christ, and we can find our place. We can find the place where we belong. So I pray that today we'll be seated with him, that we'll find that place of security in him, that we'll find that place where he has authority in situations, that we're not panicked, we're not sort of pacing up and down nervously, wondering what will happen next, but we recognise that he's got authority, he's seated there, and we can be in a secure place with him because the Lamb is on the throne.